Hey everyone, and welcome. So, when you hear the word jazz, what do you picture? Maybe some old black and white movie? Well, get ready because we're about to dive into the world of modern jazz. And I promise you, it is alive, it's evolving, and it is seriously exciting. So, here's our game plan. We're going to figure out what modern jazz actually is, what it sounds like, who's making it, where you can find it, and maybe the biggest question of all, why it's still such a huge deal in music today. Okay, first up, what even is modern jazz? Well, to get it, you really only need to understand one single powerful idea. It's like the secret ingredient that makes the whole thing work. And that secret ingredient is improvisation. Now, this doesn't mean just playing whatever you want. It's the art of creating music right there in the moment. But, and this is the key part, everyone in the band is following the same musical map, a set of chords, so that everything they invent still fits together perfectly. It takes an incredible amount of skill. A really great way to think about it is like a conversation. When you're talking with your friends, you listen to what they say and then you respond, right? Jazz musicians are doing the exact same thing, just with their instruments. They're listening and reacting to each other, building the music together, live. So when you see a musician take a solo, what's actually happening? Well, first they all know the chord structure. Then the soloist listens really closely to the rhythm section and just makes up a new melody on the spot. And when they're done, they give a little nod and it's the next person's turn. It's all about collaboration and in-the-moment creativity. All right, let's move on to the next part. Let's talk about the actual sound of modern jazz and how it's made. Because, the tools and the technology have definitely changed over the years. So on the one hand, you've still got the classic, iconic instruments like the saxophone or the big double bass. But today's artists have this whole other toolbox. They're using electric basses, synthesizers to create these wild electronic sounds, and even loop pedals to record and layer music live on stage. And in the studio, man, technology has changed everything. Super sensitive microphones can capture every tiny detail of a performance. Digital recording means the sound is crystal clear. And musicians use computers to compose and edit their work. It's all about using these new tools to push the boundaries of music. So, we know a bit about what it sounds like, but who are the people behind the instruments? Let's talk about the incredible community of musicians that are really driving the jazz scene forward today. Becoming a great jazz musician is a ton of work. We're talking about young players who practice for hours every single day. They study the masters like Miles Davis, and a lot of them go to special universities or summer camps just for jazz. It teaches them amazing discipline and how to really work as a team. And the community itself is changing in some really important ways. It's becoming a lot more diverse, which is fantastic to see. And a huge part of that change is the incredible women who are shaping the scene. See, in the past, women in jazz were often just the singers, but not anymore. Today, women are leading their own bands, composing amazing new music, and absolutely shredding on every instrument you can think of. They are some of the most important voices in jazz, period. And here's something you might not think about. Being a professional musician these days isn't just about being good at your instrument. You also have to be a pretty sharp business person. I mean, look at this list. Today's artists have to book their own gigs, keep up with social media to connect with their fans, design and sell t-shirts to fund their tours, and even write applications for grants. A lot of them also teach to make ends meet. It's a real hustle. Okay, so you're probably thinking, this sounds cool, but where do I actually go to hear it? Great question. Let's look at where you can find jazz, from a real-life club all the way to the cloud. Jazz is a totally global thing now. You can find amazing jazz scenes in big cities all over the planet. Places like New York, London, and Chicago are legendary for their clubs, where you can hear world-class music pretty much any night of the week. And honestly, one of the absolute best ways to experience jazz is in a small club. It's this really intimate vibe where you're sitting just a few feet away from the musicians. You can literally feel the energy and see that musical conversation we talked about happening right in front of your eyes. But jazz can also be this massive, epic event. International jazz festivals bring in thousands and thousands of fans from all over the world. It's basically a giant party where people come together for a few days to celebrate this incredible music. And of course, if you can't make it to a show, jazz is everywhere online. You can discover new artists on streaming services, watch amazing performances on video platforms, and follow your favorite bands on social media. The internet has made jazz more accessible than ever. So for our final section, we've got to ask the big question. Why does any of this matter today? Well,
The answer might surprise you because chances are jazz is already in a lot of the music you're listening to right now.
Check this out. This is a process called fusion, where artists mix jazz with other styles. They'll take jazz ingredients, like really complex chords or a wild saxophone solo, and blend them with things like hip-hop beats or R&B singing. Artists like Kendrick Lamar do this all the time, creating these brand new, amazing sounds. And really, that's the main takeaway. The core ideas of jazz are timeless. This focus on creativity, the importance of listening to each other, and the thrill of making something new in the moment, those things will always be at the very heart of what makes music so powerful. Jazz has never, ever stood still. For over 100 years, it has constantly evolved and reinvented itself. And that leaves us with one last really exciting question to think about. What comes next? What's it going to sound like in another 10 or 20 years? The conversation is far from over.